Hi, everyone. Welcome in to the special episode of the Fantasy Football Fanalists. Yes, this is not a scheduled, this is breaking news live stream. Bradley Stalder here with you of the Fantasy Football Fanalists. And just wanted to take a moment. I know my hair is crazy, but that's just how crazy this trade just went down. Had to break the news. A special emergency podcast today for the Fantasy Football Fanalists. Just wanted to throw it out there. So now it is hitting. It's within the past hour that we just heard that Matthew Stafford has been traded from the Detroit Lions. And he has been traded to the Los Angeles Rams for Jared Goff, a first-round pick in 2022 of the Rams, a first-round pick in 2023, and a third-round pick of the Rams this coming draft. So this is big news for both clubs. Jared Goff's contract was crazy large. And so he was, I believe, a $94 million dead cap hit this past season. And look, as a result of this trade, the Rams didn't have a first round draft pick to look at. So they had to trade their third round pick and then future first. So two future firsts, the 2022 and 2023. And there's an NFL rule saying that you can't trade first round picks more than 3 years out. So the Los Angeles Rams won't have a first round pick until 2024. And they haven't picked in the first round since they drafted Jared Goff. So this is big news that the Rams have just gone all in. I mean, if you saw their defense this past season, their defense was elite, and was holding them back, honestly, was scoring a lot of touchdowns. And that's what Matthew Stafford is known for. He's known for getting the ball to his receivers as a trusted quarterback, one who doesn't make a lot of mistakes and is good under pressure. And he's had to be good under pressure with how bad the Lions have been over the last 12 years. So this really gives Stafford a chance at a Super Bowl. I'm really excited for his prospects. And so Stafford is an unrestricted free agent in 2023. That ties him to the Rams for the next 2 years. I imagine there may be an extension given how inexpensive Stafford's contract currently is right now. Stafford is going to make $20 million for the Los Angeles Rams, which is a big deal, given that the Rams don't have a lot of cap space. They don't have a lot of wiggle room, and especially with the Jared Goff contract, some people on Twitter were saying, well, one of the first round picks is to get that Jared Goff contract off of the books for the Los Angeles Rams. I get it. Last season, they cut Todd Gurley, not just for performance, but also because of his contract. So I think from a fantasy perspective, this is really great for Stafford. He, I think, moves into that top 12 tier where he was, back end, middle, quarterback 2 range in super flex leagues. And now I think that puts him closer to that lower tier quarterback 1 range, kind of where Jared Goff was, but I don't think it's going to be as much of an upgrade as people think. This is the new toy that he's just going to whip it and throw it everywhere. No, they're still going to run McVay's offense. They're still going to give Darrell Henderson. They're still going to give primarily Cam Akers. We'll see who the other running backs are, but Robert Woods is signed for a couple more years. Cooper Kupp is signed for a couple more years. Josh Reynolds is a free agent. So we could see Van Jefferson getting a lot more involved. Tyler Higbee is there. So looking at how Stafford involved his tight end, that may be good for Higbee's prospects. We will see, though. So I think this is a slight upgrade in fantasy, like a slight amount. I mean, it wasn't like the Lions had any slackers at wide receiver. Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay were respected wide receivers. Both are free agents. I'll talk about the Lions' perspective in a second. But I think, having Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp for Matthew Stafford is going to give a pretty solid wide receiver core, and I think solidifies Matthew Stafford as a back end quarterback 1 here. This is just initial reaction within the hour of the trade report. That's my initial feedback here. So I'm excited for the Rams. I think that this is their push for a Super Bowl. They're going chips all in for the next however many years. I mean, they've made the playoffs, for the last 5 years, despite not having a first round pick since Jared Goff. So they're seeing that they can develop players, even though their coaching staff has been decimated. I don't know if what everyone's pulse has been on the coaching staff of the Rams, but Sean McVay is going to have to work with a whole new coaching staff, given the offensive coordinators and defensive coaches and all of the different positional coaches that have switched teams now this offseason. So, the Rams are trusting that Sean McVay can coach up his coaches, and those coaches can coach up the players that are going to have to fill in the gaps. They're going to have to trust their scouting department to make it happen, because this is a level up. I think this is going to give them a legitimate chance at that Super Bowl. We saw that the Rams couldn't score points back in back when the Rams faced the Patriots, in the Super Bowl. It just couldn't happen. It wasn't last year, it was 2 years ago. So, yeah, I think that this is a chips all in, a trusting in Sean McVay that he can develop these players. So great for the Rams for the short term. For the long term, I think it's disastrous. How do you not have first round picks until 2024? It's madness. It's crazy. Especially given the talent that they had to already trade for. Like, they traded first round picks for Jalen Ramsey, right? I know he's a staple, but there's got to be more workings, and I would not be surprised if there are other trades that look to offload some contracts so that perhaps they can sign some cheaper replacements. Okay, so that's on the Rams. I'm excited for the short term. Did they overpay? I think they did long term, but for a Rams team that is desperate for a Super Bowl, and they see that this defense, the way it played, is pretty elite, this is their window these next 2 years for the Los Angeles Rams. Okay, I hope to keep this about a 15-minute podcast. So 7.5 minutes on the Rams. Now we're flipping to the Lions. The Lions get Jared Goff. They get 2 first-round picks. The Rams 2022 first-round pick and the Rams 2023 first-round pick. And they get the 2021 third-round pick of the Rams. So this upcoming draft, and that's going to be a middle-of-the-road pick, right? Because the Rams, they did kind of go far in the playoffs, but not like super far, not conference championship. So let's talk about Goff first, and then we'll talk about the future of the Rams or the future of the Lions and go from there. So Goff has an enormous he had an enormous contract with the Rams, but right now he has a cap hit of about $27 million. And relative to Stafford, that's about $7 million more. But he is signed and it signed until 2023. So he's an unrestricted free agent in 2024. He reunites with Brad Holmes, the new GM of the formerly of the Los Angeles Rams, now with the Detroit Lions. So this is Holmes, who scouted Goff back when Goff was drafted as a first-round pick, and the Rams, remember, traded up to get Goff. Okay, so they've invested a ton of draft capital in this quarterback position. I don't think that this is so much a downgrade, because the offensive line for the Detroit Lions is bad, and the offensive line for the Rams was bad. And so Goff is used to playing behind bad offensive lines, but it'll be interesting to see how he responds here with weapons that he just doesn't know and hasn't built a rapport with. So, and I mean, look, maybe we would trust in Galladay, but he's a free agent. So is Marvin Jones. So is Danny Amendola. The only 2 trusted receiving options in this Lions offense right now are Quintez Cephas and TJ Hawkinson. So if there was ever a time to I think the missing piece here is DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift and Kerryon Johnson maybe used more as a pass catching back in the backfield. I mean, the Lions have to be in play for a wide receiver here. So And I don't think that they're going to resign. I would be surprised if they resigned anyone except maybe Galladay. I could see Galladay coming back, but now with Stafford not being there, I think Galladay returning is less likely. So with the Lions, there's a new change of guard, a new GM, new coach, new quarterback now, but at least a GM who is familiar with what he needed Goff to have to be successful. So this is, as I said, Brad Holmes. He was highly sought after by the Lions. So this is an exciting time for the Lions. They get a 2022 first round pick, which if the Rams replicate what they did, at least this year, it's going to be another late first, and the Lions will get an earlier first. So maybe it's not as much draft capital. But the interesting piece here is that 2023 first round pick that the Rams, I don't know what 2023 is going to look like. That's more of a question, because we thought, for instance, flashback a couple of years ago when the Dolphins traded Laramie Tunsil and they got the Houston Texans first round pick. Like, we thought, oh, the Texans are going to be flying. They've got Deshaun Watson. They've got one of the best left tackles in the league. They've got DeAndre Hopkins. And we saw what happened there is more than 1 year out. Good luck. There's a lot of turnover, and the Rams might be in a lot of trouble here in a couple of years. And that 2023 pick might be enormous in value. So, yeah, this doesn't change a lot for 2021. I think that the Lions will be in line to sign a wide receiver, whether it's return Galladay and maybe bring in a couple veteran wide receivers. But really, this is trust the process for the Lions. They signed a couple other front office advisors, including Dorsey, who formerly worked with the Browns and drafted Baker Mayfield, and signed Kareem Hunt and drafted Nick Chubb, for instance. So all of these, this young core, was brought in by Dorsey. So really, I think that the Lions won this trade value-wise. I think that Goff isn't as significant of a downgrade from Stafford for the Lions. It essentially holds them over. This trade holds the Lions over so they don't have to address the quarterback position for a few years, and in fact can build up a core of offensive linemen and defense that won't put pressure on a young quarterback. Like, I think that one of the things that the Lions were afraid of was, we need to get a young quarterback in here and then he's going to be ruined. And I think that by addressing that and getting Goff, an accomplished quarterback. I mean, he was in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and he's a good quarterback if he's got time to pass the ball. But really, the struggle for Goff is under pressure, and he's going to have his fair share of pressure for the Lions here. But he had his fair share of pressure when he was with the Los Angeles Rams. So I think that this really isn't much of a downgrade for the Lions. It fills up some of their cap space, sure. It reunites Brad Holmes with Goff, so he's familiar with Goff and his tendencies. And this gives a lot of malleability to the Lions and how they move forward. Like, as I said, they can address whatever position that they need. I don't think they need to address tight end. I don't think they need to address running back. But their defense can really improve through the draft, and then they're not spending a lot of money. By the time that Goff becomes an unrestricted free agent in 2024, like, they have a 2023 first round pick that is either going to be not good because their team is going to be good by then, or it's going to be a bad pick, or I suppose an early pick, and they're going to be able to replace Goff in the 2023 draft with that LA Rams pick or their own pick. So I'm really excited about what the Lions have over the next few years. Like, it's not much of a downgrade. They get a bunch of picks, and it's not like they need they don't have cap space. They've got enough. So I think that the Lions won this trade for the long term. I think short term, the Rams are making their Super Bowl run, and this is the perfect quarterback to do it with. And he's not super expensive. I could see the Rams signing Stafford to an extension here. He's only $20 million this year. He's $23 million on the salary next year. So Um, yeah, that's what I think, both long and short term about this trade. Yeah, so that's my instant reaction. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at FF Stalder, Bradley Stalder. You can follow my co-host here, Billy Musio, at FF Musio. You can follow the Fantasy Football Fanalist at FF Fanalist on Twitter. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Twitch, right? These become live streams on Twitch and Twitter, and we'll post this video to the YouTube as well. So check us out on Facebook. Really excited to see. This is the first big move. Oh, and as an addendum, thank you for waiting. I want to give our little plug for the Fantasy Football Fanalists. A lot has been made about a lot has been made about Deshaun Watson and what his value is now. And I tweeted out immediately, like, if this is the cost of Stafford, no one is going to be able to pay for Deshaun Watson. And someone tweeted out, well, maybe the Jets or maybe the Dolphins. No, the Jets and Dolphins were already on the radar. Like, that's not going to happen now. Like, I don't see how Darnold and 4 firsts are going to go to the Jets, or Tua and 3 or 4 firsts are going to go to the Dolphins. Like, I just, from the Dolphins, I just don't see it. Like, I know that a lot of it is about the amount of money, but it's not like Stafford wasn't inexpensive either. Like, $20 million is $20 million. So that's that. I think that Deshaun Watson, it's going to be more difficult to trade him, given that this is the new market value. This sets the market for what Deshaun Watson is going to be traded, like possibly traded for. So I think that almost eliminates like Watson's leverage. Unless, okay, we'll take a step back. Anything is possible. We saw David Johnson get traded for essentially DeAndre Hopkins last year. So anything is possible. And then, like, a couple days later, Stephon Diggs gets traded for a package similar to this, where we saw a first-round pick and a third-round pick and a bunch of others. So, yeah, anything is possible. Oh, look, we have a question from Billy. Hey, Billy, thanks for joining me via Facebook. How many years does Brad Holmes go to jail for doing Les Snead dirty like that? You know, I don't think he goes to jail. I think it was worked out. It was probably that Les Snead had Brad Holmes on speed dial. Probably has him in his top 5. Hey, you know how you went to Detroit? Yeah, let's make a trade of quarterbacks. Oh, you want all those first? I'll do you a solid. Yeah, I know how I underpaid you earlier in your scouting career. I don't think it went that simply, but having a working relationship in the same organization certainly made those conversations a little easier and a little more frank, and understood better what each team needed. Because if you're calling cold and you don't have connections to that front office, that's more difficult trade to make. So for Brad Holmes to have worked with Les Snead for years, I mean, Brad Holmes has spent his whole career in the scouting department for the Rams. So yeah, I think that's an easier trade than what most would think. I don't think it's unfair because each team got what they wanted. The Rams got the Super Bowl level quarterback. We heard about how Sean McVay and Les Snead were not confident that that Jared Goff was going to be the quarterback of the future. We heard about that, and I was skeptical. Well, we don't listen to Sean McVay. He's the one who wanted a 4-headed monster coming in the preseason with John Kelly included in the backfield. So, look, I don't think it was a bad deal. Each team got what they want. The Lions are dedicated to the rebuild, and the Rams are seeing this is it. This is the year. But my fear for the Rams is that we get to this 2022 season, things can go sour. Like, we saw how great defenses went immediately bad, like the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? They went bad, or the New England Patriots leveled down. Same with the Bears, they leveled down. And so if a defense that levels down and an offense that has a lot more questions in it. Like, we don't know what's going to happen 2 years out. So that 2023 first round pick, I think, could be almost the scenario where we're looking at with Miami having the Houston pick this year. So in a couple of years, that's certainly something that a storyline we got to keep our minds on. And thank you, Billy. I appreciate the shout out. Appreciate you. I know you weren't able to be with me today for this podcast, but thanks for popping in. I do appreciate it. So, so check us out on all the socials, on Twitch, on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. We have the YouTube channel. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Find us, FF Fanalists, on all of those sites. So if you want to find more, follow us. And thank you for tuning into this now 20-minute podcast. And have a great night, and go team.